A very good afternoon to you and thanks for joining us on this abridged version of Nationwide. My name is Isaac Nkuma. Nigerian armed forces this morning captured Goza, Borno State, destroying the headquarters of the terrorist self-styled caliphate. A statement from the Director of Defense Information, Major General Chris Olukolade, indicated that so many of the terrorists died in the operation, while many others were captured. He said mop-up of entire Goza and suburb is ongoing. And President Goodluck Jonathan has appealed to Nigerians to go out en masse to elect the leaders of their choice as elections hold March 28 and April 11th. The president made the appeal in his nationwide broadcast on the general elections. State House correspondent Segun Lawali reports.
It is another opportunity for Nigerian eligible voters to exercise their franchise and empower leaders of their choice and show the world that genuine democracy is alive in the country. This, among other reasons, is why President Jonathan, in his broadcast to the nation, restates the fact that no political ambition can justify violence and shedding of blood of any Nigerian. He therefore warned against any violence during the elections by any politician in advancing the cause of their political ambition.
In keeping with that commitment, the federal government has given the Independent National Electoral Commission all necessary support to ensure that it conducts very successful elections tomorrow and on April 11. We have all been assured that INEC is fully ready for the elections. I believe that we can all trust that they are certainly more ready now than they may have been before security issues and other concerns necessitated a rescheduling of the dates for the 2015 general elections.
The president also expressed his abiding faith and commitment to a credible election and therefore urged Nigerians to come out en masse as INEC is fully ready for the general elections, while the armed forces and their foreign allies have succeeded in recapturing the territories and community formerly occupied by Boko Haram.
Let me warn, however, that as President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, I am under oath to protect the lives of all Nigerians and the security of our country at all times. I will never abdicate my responsibility in that regard. Democracy allows dissent. It encourages differences and even fervent disagreements. But elections must never be mistaken for war or an opportunity to set fellow citizens against each other and tear our beloved nation apart. Those who may harbor any intentions of testing our will by unleashing violence in order to advance their political ambitions should think again, as all necessary measures have been put in place to ensure that any person who breaches the peace or causes public disorder during or after the elections are speedily apprehended and summarily dealt with according to our laws.
The presidential and national elections is scheduled for March 28, while the governorship and state assemblies will hold on April 11. In the State House, Segun Lawali, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Department of State Services, DSS, has alerted Nigerians and the international election observers of alleged plan by some mischievous persons to announce election results before the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, concludes its collation exercise. To this end, the service is advising the general public to disregard election results which are not announced by INEC, being the only authorized body. The service, however, called on all eligible voters to go out and cast their ballot, as all necessary security arrangements have been perfected to ensure a peaceful exercise. In a related development, the National Broadcasting Commission has reminded media houses and politicians that the airing of campaign materials and news end by midnight of Thursday, the 26th of March. The NBC, in a statement in Abuja, referred to the Electoral Act, which stipulates that no broadcaster shall permit any campaign on its facilities 24 hours preceding poll day. The Commission also pointed out that the law states that the broadcast of election results or declaration of the winner can only be announced by the authorized electoral officer of the election. Broadcasters are therefore reminded that the social media is not an official source for release of election results. And the Inspector General of Police has redeployed all the 6 Deputy Inspectors General of Police as coordinators in the 6 geopolitical zones. 3 Assistant Inspectors General of Police have also been redeployed as assistant coordinators for Southwest, North Central and Northwest zones of the country. Others are Assistant Inspectors General for Federal Operations and AIG Zone 9, Umuahia. The IGP also ordered the redeployment of some commissioners of police for the period of the election. The affected states are Rivers, Anambra, Enugu, Katsina and Benue states, and a commissioner of police for Department of Operations, Force Headquarters, Abuja. As Nigerians prepare for the 2015 presidential election, the Human Rights Commission has reiterated its commitment to ensuring that all eligible voters are not disenfranchised. Executive Secretary of the Commission, Professor Bem Angwe, said the right to vote and participate in the electoral process is a fundamental human right that must not be denied to any citizen. Aliu Tukur has the details.
Addressing media in Abuja, Executive Secretary National Human Rights Commission said the preparedness of the Commission towards the forthcoming general elections is to monitor the electoral processes with the view of ensuring that citizens are allowed to exercise their franchise. To make this a reality, the Commission has deployed monitors across the country with the aim to assist INEC in ensuring a credible polls.
The Commission is ready to ensure that all Nigerians are given the opportunity to exercise their rights in the manner provided by law.
The Commission has also set up an incident report center with toll-free numbers to call in case citizens notice any electoral violations.
The Commission will act in accordance with our mandate to ensure that such rights that are being violated are not only enforced, but the offenders brought to book.
The Commission urged Nigerians to be steadfast in carrying out their rights in a peaceful manner and to also report any incident of violations. In Abuja, Aliu Tukur, NTA News.
The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps has deployed about 55,000 regular and 120,000 non-regular officers of the Corps to complement the efforts of the Nigerian police and other security agencies for a hitch-free election. This was brought to the fore at the commissioning of operation vehicles to aid their counterparts. Aliu Kabir has the details.
50 operational vehicles were commissioned by the Minister of Interior, Patrick Abamoro, to facilitate the operations of the officers and men of the Corps. He said the vehicles were part of the federal government intervention in its fight against oil theft and pipeline vandalism. He called on the officers to discharge their duties with high sense of professionalism during the conduct of the elections.
Let me tell you, officers and men of the corps, to conduct yourselves in an orderly and most professional way.
The Commandant General of the NSCDC, Dr. Ade Abolorin, said the federal government has resolved to strengthen the capacity of their officers to discharge their responsibilities.
They have also been given enough reorientation in terms of how to be civil towards the populace and how to carry out their work diligently and to express all sense of professionalism.
He emphasized on the need for politicians and the electorate to conduct themselves in accordance with the provisions of the law to ensure a hitch-free elections. In Abuja, Aliu Kabir, NTA News.
And the operational structure of the Women's Situation Room for the 2015 general elections meant to monitor all forms of electoral violence in Nigeria has been set up in Abuja. Correspondent Aisha Tuzango Abdullahi tells us about it.
From Liberia, Senegal, Sierra Leone and Cote d'Ivoire, women came to support the Nigerian women in putting up the first Women's Situation Room. The structure is aimed at securing for the Nigerian women a space to participate actively in the 2015 general elections by having in place a system to check electoral violence.
We truly trust that it will be a peaceful election.
Let there be peace in Nigeria, because My late husband fought for peace.
The empowerment of the women is what we're looking for.
Women are not only vulnerable victims, but we are also valuable actors of change.
We can't afford to lose the peace, the unity that Nigeria has.
The Women's Situation Room will last for 10 days, starting from the 26th of March to the 4th of April 2015. The room has 20 operators, as well as a team of eminent African women who will serve as mediators while the room lasts.
Nigerians from across the country who notice any act of violence or potential ones in their environment are expected to call this Women's Situation Room on a toll-free number of 0800 call WSR to report all cases of electoral violence, especially those against women. In Abuja, Aishatu Zangwa Abdullahi, NTA News.
Stay on to Nationwide. We now join our Lagos Network Center where Demola is standing by to fill us in on.
Thank you, Isaac. Welcome to Lagos. Not less than 10 vehicles, including 2 fuel trucks, were burnt in a fire incident at Ascon Filling Station on Admiralty Way, Lekki Phase 1 in Lagos. Property worth millions of naira were destroyed, while several people sustained various degrees of injury. Udo Mary's report.
In the afternoon, eyewitness was caused by an explosion when one of the fuel trucks was trying to discharge petroleum products.
We were here playing games. We just saw smoke. So on getting out, we saw that tanker had burned.
Some motorists queuing to buy the product narrate their tales of woe.
I tried to run away with my car, but unfortunately my car burned down totally.
I sense that if this is fuel, it does not take time, then we get consumed. What do? I had to flee the car.
The federal and state fire service personnel had a hectic time controlling the fire and prevent the inferno from spreading.
On our arrival, we discovered that 2 tankers laden with 33,000 liters of PMS were on flame with 10 other cars. So we embarked on active firefighting operation and we'll be able to prevent the fire from spreading to other vehicles.
According to the Lagos State Fire Service, more than 500 incidences have been recorded since the beginning of the year till date.
The Nigerian Police Force has deployed 36,204 officers for effective policing in the general elections. Commissioner of Police, Lagos State Command, Kayode Aderonti, disclosed this at a media briefing in Lagos. Olajide Bello reports.
With less than 24 hours to the general elections, the Nigerian Police Force has assured Lagosians of adequate security during the exercise.
So come Saturday, we are going to be here for you. We are going to work together and ensure that we conduct this election in the most peaceful and transparent manner.
Commissioner of Police, Lagos State Command, Kayode Aderonti said the command has done all requisite trainings for the officers and men to be deployed for the elections. He spoke further on the logistics put in place for the exercise.
We have deployed a total of 36,204 personnel drawn from all security and emergency response agencies. We have embarked on show of force on land, sea, and air to demonstrate our readiness to confront and contain any irritation that may arise from anywhere.
The police commissioner also assured essential service workers of adequate security during the exercise. INEC resident electoral commissioner also spoke on the commission's readiness for the exercise.
We are all working together as one security agencies as well as INEC. Our intention is to ensure a very peaceful and orderly manner. To my mind,
he urged voters to conduct themselves peacefully and eschew all forms of electoral violence in Lagos. Olajide Bello, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Lagos. Isaac is back to you for more on Nationwide.
Many thanks, Vera. Nigerian armed forces this morning captured Goza, Borno State, destroying the headquarters of the terrorist self-styled caliphate. A statement from the Director of Defense Information, Major General Chris Olukolade indicated that so many of the terrorists died in the operations while many others were captured. He said mop-up of entire Goza and suburbs is ongoing. A defense correspondent, Mohammed Abdul Kadri, reports.
The multinational joint task force dislodged the elements from Goza, described as epicenter of the terrorist activities.
This was preceded by successful sack of terrorists from towns and villages leading to Goza, the main objective of the operation. Several of the terrorists have died and many of them have been captured in the process. A lot of arms and ammunition have been recovered, and the administrative headquarters of the terrorists have been completely destroyed.
The Director of Defense Information said the troops are still holding ground in Goza to repel any reprisal attack.
The essence is to ensure that we locate any hostage that may be held anywhere there, or those who are hiding among the terrorists.
While attributing the successful operations in Goza to what he described as effective synergy, he re-echoed the battle cry that never again will the terrorists be allowed to control any part of the country. In Abuja, Muhammad Abdul Kadri, NTA News.
And the federal government has set up a special steering committee to ensure the timely completion of the Gas Revolution Industrial Park. President Goodluck Jonathan, who announced this at the groundbreaking ceremony of the Twin Project, also declared the area a free trade zone. Mayor Ogidi reports.
Of gas in the world with 8.5 billion standard cubic feet per day, while gas reserve stands at 186 billion standard cubic feet. To deploy the wasteful gas to purposeful use, the federal government of Nigeria has come up with the Ogidigbe Gas Park project to process over 5 billion cubic feet of gas daily, to be complemented with the Deep Sea Port project at Gbaramatu in Delta State. The project is in 3 phases. The first phase, estimated at $20 billion, comprises fertilizer plant for agriculture, 450 megawatts of power. The second phase is petrochemical and ports, and the third phase is for secondary industries. Bearing in mind that the project is to be majorly funded by external investors, President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan reaffirmed the federal government's commitment to ensure that the project takes off on a sound footing.
Although the project is intended to be largely private sector driven, the federal government will commit necessary resources to support the start, including the provision of basic infrastructure. We are also granting it a full port status, and it will be accorded the priority that it deserves. To accomplish this, I am setting up a special steering committee to be headed by the Honorable Minister of Petroleum Resources. This committee will shepherd the project and brief the Federal Executive Council regularly, not just briefing Mr. President, but from the takeoff of this project every week.
At the construction stage, 150,000 jobs will be created, and when completed and become operational, 5 million additional jobs will be provided for Nigerian youths.
That the products from here will be able to kickstart a geographically dispersed industrialization of Nigeria and to create unprecedented numbers of jobs for our youth and overall wealth for our nation.
The project will fast track the execution of Nigeria's Industrial Revolution Plan. We will now take the gas in our lands and turn them into jobs for our youth, income for our people and families, and investments for our country.
And we pledge to protect these projects. We pledge to provide the enabling peaceful environment for this project to be actualized, because we are the primary beneficiaries of this project.
The contractors are optimistic that, all things being equal, the project will be completed in 2019. Mayor Ogidi, NTA News.
This is Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. More reports when we come back. Stay with us. We're sorry about that break in transmission. 1 week after the liberation of Bama in Borno State, life is yet to return to the ancient city. This is attributed to the havoc wreaked on the community by insurgents. Defense correspondent Mohammed Abdulkadri reports that the Director of Defense Information, Major General Chris Olukolade, led a team of journalists on assessment tour of Bama. His report.
Bama for 7 months was under the stronghold of terrorists until they were flushed out by gallant Nigerian troops. Good news indeed, but the ugly side and sight after the recapture of Bama is the gory picture of massive destruction inflicted on the ancient community by the fleeing Boko Haram, who spared no single structure.
It will have taken the period of their stay here to do this level of destruction, in addition to what they did when leaving the town.
Palace, prison, private and public institutions are keeping the sad memories of organized bombardment by the agents of destruction who converted a well into a dumping site for dead bodies.
It was a horrible battle. We did our best to ensure that we expelled the BHTs from Bama, and we have successfully done that.
Right now, indigents who painstakingly returned to base, mostly women, children, and the elderly, have nowhere to lay their heads. At the time of patrol around the town, at the strategic bridge separating Sambisa Forest and the town, luck ran against 3 suspected members of Boko Haram. The recapture of Bama in Borno State by the gallant troops is a significant milestone in Operation Salmon Lafia. Going forward, it ushered in a new chapter for affirmative action to rebuild, reconstruct, and reposition the damaged town for sustainable socio-economic activities. From Bama in Borno State, Mohammed Abdulkadri, NTA.
And the nation's power assets deployed by the Nigerian Air Force counterinsurgency in the northeast, codenamed Operation Zamalafia, is crucial to the success story of the mission. Defense correspondent Mohammed Abdulkadri again, and this special report examines the air pounding by the Nigerian Air Forces to decimate the camps and cells of the terrorists. His report.
The pivotal role of the Nigerian Air Force is strategic to offensive against Boko Haram insurgents in the northeast. In defense of the threat to the nation's territorial integrity, the Nigerian Air Force governed the airspace to soften the ground for the land troops to move. For instance, the air pounding to dislodge terrorist cells led to the recapture of notable communities and towns in the northeast, especially Baga, Buniyadi, Gulak, Ong, and Mobi. It is also on record that the Nigerian Air Force undertook several flying round the mission areas and hotspots of action, known technically as sorties, with Mi-35 helicopter having over 900 sorties and ATR-42 had over 400.
Identification of BHE hideout in Sambisa Forest through surveillance missions and conduct of several interdiction missions to deny BHD the use of the forest. Provision of close air support for ground troops under attack at Abulam, and provision of air cover for subsequent withdrawal to Kafar.
In line with international best practice, sorties by various platforms of the service, especially the intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance aircraft, has helped to reduce collateral damage through incisive information to the land troops. Specific air capability deployed in support of Operation Salmon Lafia weakened the targets and strengthened the land troops to attain the achievements so far recorded. Operating from a strategic base, the nation's air power asset of the Nigerian Air Force is very crucial for the successful conduct of Operation Salmon Lafia. From the northeast.
Thank you, Abdulkadri. Now, sports update with Ayodeji Makinde.
Nigeria handball family says it is set to reposition the game in Nigeria with the support given to the senior male and female handball teams in the race for the 2015 All-Africa Games. Vice President, Mega Veterans Handball Association Saidu Jibril said competitive handball will also return to prominence at the collegiate level.
We have arranged some programs in such a way that the club league will commence from the zones. We have 6 geopolitical zones in this country. Each zone we organize is a zonal elimination.
Former Super Eagles goalkeeper Aloy Agu has commended current Super Eagles goaltender Vincent Enyama for achieving an unprecedented 100 caps for Nigeria as a goalkeeper in a position previously held by greats like Ima Okala, Best Ogedegbe, Peter Rufai and Aloy Agu himself. Agu says Enyama still has productive years ahead of him.
As long as he wants to play and as long as he keep on doing what he knows how to do best, and that is to be on top of his game, and as long as he keep doing that, I think the zeal and the urge to continue to play for Nigeria will be there.
Record world champion.
And that does it on Nationwide for today. Well, then thank you for sharing your time with us. Good evening. My name is Isaac Nkuma.